Hey, handsome.
Hey boys, it's so good to see you. Like
So good to see you, man.
I actually didn't look at the interview sheet until just now, and I saw that you guys were my first interview. I was like, yeah, that made me happy to see.
I was going to text you today and say, so I guess we're chatting tonight. And then I just forgot. So, yeah.
That's okay. But this is something that I'm just going to talk good things straight away because that's what we're here to talk about. When we got the good things lineup a little while ago, it's like literally the first thing I said to Johnny has been like, oh, we get Eddie. So
Oh
excited.
yeah,
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 man. It was great news. Obviously, it's gonna be great for us to get to see you in the flesh and get to hang out and have a couple of cheeky summer beers together. But more importantly, what a way to come to Australia for the first time.
yeah, yeah. It's incredible. It's been a crazy year for us, and to end it with Australia feels really amazing. Um, it's a long time coming. We've been wanting to go there forever. So yeah.
I mean, we have literally talked about this for years now. So I can't imagine what it is for you to finally have it come true. Because I think every few months you get a text being like, when are you coming here? We're waiting.
We know you've been trying. We know you've been trying, so it's all good.
Yeah,
In the
exactly.
meantime, you're right. You have had a very busy year so far, which is only like added fuel to the desire for us to have you come out here because seeing the response to the live stuff, like the states tour you just did, was so overwhelmingly
Mm.
positive. It must
Yeah.
feel pretty rewarding to kind of, after so many years of hard work, have this be the kind of fruition of that work.
Yeah, absolutely. And for us, the States was the same thing. We've been wanting to go there forever. And we just went there the first time in November, December last year. So it's a lot happening in just like in the course of 1 year. And it feels really incredible for us to experience all of this and go to all these places we've been wanting to go to for such a long time.
Is it sometimes hard though, like you guys are doing everything right. You're an absolute solid band, release banger after banger. And is there
Very
ever,
handsome.
yeah,
Don't
you're all
forget.
very handsome, yeah. Is there ever a moment where you sort of sit there and, up until you got obviously the United States and the Australia office and go, what's happening? Why aren't we getting an offer? Why hasn't this happened for us yet?
Yeah, that's exactly kind of how we felt. There's a lot of bands that were like either on a similar level or even smaller than us, and they've been going to America or to Australia a bunch of times, and we were just kind of thinking like, why is it not happening to us? Like, what are we doing wrong? Um, the thing is that we always felt a little bit like the underdogs and kind of left out of the scene. Um, and we just had to take things into our own hands since we started this band and do everything ourselves. So that was kind of the same mentality that we had for the US when we went over there for the first time. We never had like a solid offer for a support tour or anything like that. So we just had the idea to go over there for like a week, see see what happens, see if people want to come out to the shows and whatnot. And that first one was so successful for us since we basically sold it out in just like 1 or 2 days, and then we got to
Yeah.
upgrade and we ended up playing these like massive legendary venues and packing out those rooms, and that was a surreal feeling, definitely.
I think coming to somewhere like Australia where there's not the potential to play as many shows as like the States, where you've got so many venues and so many states to play in the time. Whereas Australia, even if you play every state, you've got 6 shows. So doing a festival run like Good Things, I think is such an awesome way to come and experience Australia for the first time and potentially introduce a lot of people to your music that might not have found you, particularly on a lineup like Good Things, which is much more of a
Extremely
varied
diverse, yeah.
audience and a varied like demographic of music lovers. So I think that's a
Yeah.
really exciting opportunity for you guys to come in this space because whilst you might not have as many like diehard imminent fans there, the opportunity to win over new people is there just from the get go, which I think is really exciting.
Yeah, I mean that's always incredible about festivals, and getting the chance to, you know, present yourself and your music in front of new people or people that might never heard you, and obviously to the fans there as well that have been waiting for us for a long time.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, look, like it's crazy that the whole world of music promotion has, like, as you know, changed so much. And I think even more so since COVID, because so many people are utilizing the internet now to promote and find and search for bands and get as much content as they can. But even through that, you know, like I know so many people that when that lineup dropped, um, you know, one of the bands that they were most keen for was like, obviously everyone's like, oh wow, Korn's finally coming back and Electric Callboy's finally coming back and Imminence are finally coming to Australia. I got a bunch of messages saying Imminence are finally coming. And obviously they know how much we support you guys and love you guys. So, you know, just to share that excitement is a really,
Yeah,
really cool thing. It's a really cool thing.
yeah. I mean, we've known each other for a while now, and you know, we've
Mm.
always followed you guys' work, and we love that you've always been so supportive of us, and it feels like we're practically really good friends at this point already, even though we never met. And
Oh,
that's
if you think I'm not just going to walk up and give you the biggest cuddle, you are oh, you are in for
yeah.
a shock, my friend.
So
It's a
I'm
crazy,
so excited to see you guys too in the flash
yeah,
and hang out.
Yeah, it's gonna be awesome.
it's a real crazy thing for us as well, I think, because I think if you're in a band, like from that perspective, you have much more chance of, I guess, like crossing paths with people in this world. For us, it's crazy because a lot of the bands, because we're so far away from the rest of the world, only come here once every 2, 3 years. You know what I mean? Like, especially for guys like yourselves that are trying to get to these places. And it is very strange to have already built up a relationship with people, and then it's all of a sudden like, finally, after 3, 4 years of talking, we finally get to see them, you know, because we don't
Yeah.
do tours.
Yeah. My wife struggles with it sometimes because she'd be like, hang on, why do you need to go down 5 hours before the event starts? I was like, they're my friends. I'm going to go hang out with my friends who we've actually never hung out, but this is the only chance we're going to get. So, yeah, I
Yeah.
think a 3-day festival, we might just have to tag along the whole way. Janine, I hope you're
Yeah.
listening. So we get multiple hang
I hope
times.
so. Yeah.
Yeah, we had
That
a
would be
great time.
awesome.
We had a great time on the festival last year. Good things. Like the whole crew, man, are great. Like everybody there was great. It's such a good vibe. It's also possibly the best way to experience Australia for the first time. The sun's out.
Yeah.
You know,
Don't fucking jinx
yeah,
it,
I'll
you
probably jinx
dickhead.
this. Yeah,
Now it's going to rain
piss
all
down
through. I'm
rain,
so
it'll
sorry.
snow.
Having said that,
We
yeah, good work escaping the depths of winter for you. That's a positive.
yeah. Yeah, for us in Sweden, we have like the 6 months of winter depression almost. So it's gonna be good to get out and have some like proper summer in December.
Yeah.
But
How, I
we
mean,
like speaking of bad weather, we had kind of like a cursed summer, to be honest.
oh,
Like we played all over Europe on these festivals, and at least for the first like month or so, we had this horrible weather following us. It didn't matter where we go, we would go, and it was like just coming down everywhere. Yeah.
so what you're saying is if it's horrible here in summer, we know
We
who
can
to
blame you.
blame.
Yeah.
Yes.
We actually
And he
had
brought
in
it with him.
on Saturday we played in Germany our last summer festival over here, and a thunderstorm broke out just like an hour or 30 minutes before we were supposed to go on.
Oh god.
Did it
Uh,
rain during your
and the
set?
A little bit. We were really lucky. Like the band before us on that stage, they had like 3 power dropouts
Oh
during
no.
their set. So we were like, oh, here we go.
Yeah.
And we were like all dressed up. We stood by the stage waiting, and like 5 minutes before the show started, we got to go ahead from the promoters on the festival. So we
Nice.
could do the show. Luckily the storm kind of passed, and it was just like a light drizzle during our show.
You can handle that. It kind of like
Yeah.
Yeah.
ties in with the whole our new album's called The Black and this is grey clouds and
See, what you want though
that's a
in that
thing.
moment is you want to be coming out on stage as the thunderstorm rolls in. So you get the clouds, you
Yeah.
get the lightning, you get the thunder with this, you know, this ambient, heavy orchestral metalcore music. And then just as you guys finish, the rain just pisses down, cancels the rest of the festival. So you're the only band they remember.
Yeah, that would be great.
Something to look forward to potentially. Hey, I know I just mentioned The Black, but we haven't spoken to you since the album's come out. What's the response been from the fans? Because as I said, I know you've seen our videos. We absolutely adored the album. We think you did such a phenomenal job on it. What's been the response from everyone else?
I feel like that is kind of unanimous with the response from the fans. We felt a lot of love on this record. And I think what we felt about the record was that it was kind of like finding home.
Sure.
Going a little bit full circle with like our first album, but in a more refined way. And, you know, where we are now, 10 years later, it really felt like an Imminence record, Imminence sound. We felt like we were hitting home. And I think that a lot of people felt that way too by listening to the record.
It's a very diverse record as well, but like you said, it still sounds like Imminence. I think the one thing that you guys have always done really well is you haven't been afraid to mix a lot of elements in there. So you've never been pigeonholed as just a metalcore band, which I think kind of saves you from a lot of that sort of that expectation that can often lead to negative responses from people, because they're expecting you guys to dig through your repertoire and bring a lot of new sounds in as well.
Yeah, I mean, we love to listen to a lot of different music and obviously bring in other influences. And we just have this, like, I would say, I mean, on one hand, just a passion and love for creating music. But that also means that we don't typically think like what is the most immense sound, or like trying to stick to one thing. It's just about creating new music that we love ourselves too.
Yeah. Has there been any surprise favorites or from the audience perspective when you played the new stuff? Like anything you played that's been more of a hit than you expected?
No, we expected them all to be great.
No, I mean, when we wrote it, we did feel like a lot of these songs are gonna be pretty cool to play live, because we've been touring now for 10 years, and we learned a thing or two from our first album and everything in between, you know, like what kind of songs works live and things like that. And I remember having like when we played the first shows in the US, we had about, I think it was 4 new songs, like the singles that we played live. And it was, you try to construct a set list which has like a good flow and you get a good momentum, and you could kind of see like, okay, I think we're missing this kind of song here or there. And obviously, you know, the whole album was done at that point, but you could really feel like we just need these new songs from the album to put in the set list.
Cool.
And maybe exchange a few, and then you have like a really solid set list. I think that I was a little bit surprised about the song itself, because it is a different type of song, and it's not every time when you do a set list where like a slower song might fit into the whole thing. Initially, it was like we all loved that song and we really believed in it, but it was still a question of like, how will this work live? It's a pretty slow burner, if you will. But when we started playing it live, it was something really special, and I think that was a little bit surprising, but at the same time not. I still believed in the song.
That song was the one that we were the latest to, and we saw probably more requests for that song than any other in our comment section of people being like, "When are you doing this? Why are you doing this?" Because we were waiting for a film clip to come out. I think you released the song first before you did something. As we were like, waiting for a clip, it's coming here. But yeah, I saw the demand, and obviously people had got behind it. So that must have been something that just instantly connected with people.
Yeah.
What does it mean coming into like a festival like this, where you're coming to bring Imminence to Australia for the first time, and here's your first taste of us? Are you
And
trying to
here's
do a
40
very
minutes.
of old stuff, or are you going, fuck, let's play the stuff that's working for other festivals? What's the strategy there?
Um, I think we also changed our strategy a little bit. We used to think about like going into a festival and doing like what we call a freight train set, where you play the heavy bangers you have and just like roll over people.
Yeah.
But over the summer we actually changed that approach a little bit and tried to diversify the set list a bit. Um, and it's working really well. It showcases, that we are a different kind of band and not just a heavy band.
Hell yeah.
The approach is kind of like taking um this set list that we're playing on our headline shows, but obviously slimming them down, making them fit to the format. So I think that we'll use that same approach in Australia to just kind of showcase what kind of band we are.
Heck yeah.
Do you guys kind of utilize, like things like Spotify analytics and stuff to see what's played here, or is it more of a case of you'd rather do what you're most comfortable with? Or
Yeah, we typically don't do that because we've also learned that over the years of like you could have a song being very requested by fans online, and then you play it live and you kind of go like, well, that didn't work at all.
Yeah.
So I don't
You
know,
said you
like
wanted
it feels,
that.
yeah, it feels like no one is maybe singing to that song, or like you kind of not ruining the vibe, but it's just like
Yeah.
a slight downhill in the set list, and you're like, oh, that did not work. So we tend not to look at that, and we just try to play what we know is working.
Yeah.
I feel like a festival vibe as well, especially if you're playing in the daylight and you can just see everybody, you can notice it so much easier when the
Yeah.
vibe dips, everyone's going crazy, and then all of a sudden it's like, shit.
We fucked up.
Yeah, just look at
Yeah.
whoever in the band chose that song and just
Yeah, that's an interesting thing because we used to be thinking about set lists in a way that was just like trying to get the most energy out of a set list as possible and like having a crazy show or whatever. And we there was something that we noticed um now by playing in the US, that on some cities or places like people would not get crazy. They would just like stand there and soak up the music and like connect with the music. So we kind of thought like maybe we're not that kind of band that should just have like the sickest mosh pits or like the craziest crowd. Maybe we should just think about the feeling of the set list and let the music speak. So I think that's our approach to things right now. It's just like embracing that aspect of our band and the diversity that we have in our music.
That's exactly what I like you for personally. I think you've got your heaviness, and you've got some moments that are like a punch in the face, but also you get me in the heart, and I like that. That's
I didn't realize I had a heart until I listened to you guys. So
oh,
there you
shut
go. So now look, like the whole festival thing is a quick trip, and obviously it's going to be a quick trip to Australia for your first time. Are you giving yourselves any downtime at all in the country, any chance to do any sightseeing or anything like that?
We had a pretty busy year, a lot of time on the road, and that's gonna continue next year. So we're not gonna be able to be too long away from home. But we plan to like maybe land 2 days or something, 2, 3 days before the first show, just to like give us some time to adjust from the jet lag, and
I have
maybe
to
get some
say,
shows around.
coming from Europe to Australia is actually not too bad. The jet lag, I feel like you can time it pretty well to like land, get a good night's sleep, and then start fresh. Whereas going from Australia back home for you is gonna suck. So just
Wonderful.
yeah, something to look forward to. But at least you're home and you can settle. I think that's better to have it that way rather than like
Yeah.
getting somewhere and having to be jet lagged and stuff. You can be jet lagged at home. You don't want to be doing it when you're trying to make the most of a tour.
Just be really,
Yeah.
really hungover, and then it'll feel the same. Like,
Don't
Yeah.
listen to Johnny. If there's one thing advice I can give you, it's don't listen to Johnny on almost anything. So how is that for you? Like, obviously you've got the family, you've got your little doggies there. Is
Yeah.
being as busy as you are on the road, has that become harder and harder?
I mean, it's hard to leave the doggies because they don't understand.
yeah,
Yeah, but no, I mean, I love to be on the road and to travel the world with our music. That's the whole reason I started doing this in the first place. But it's I just love the contrast, like, because life over here at home is moving so slow,
Yeah.
and going into a tour where everything feels like, you know, you're on the Autobahn in Germany. So no, I really appreciate it.
So was the American tour was your first time there as well?
Yeah, we did like the 8 shows last year in the winter.
I missed you by
But we
4
did like
days.
yeah, I know, that was such
I
a
was
bummer.
so upset. I left New York and they came 4 days later.
I'm actually, look, this is a shitty thing to say as your friend, but I'm glad you, because I would have been so pissed off. I'd be like, fuck you, man. And how did you find America in general? Like, how did you find the people? How was the contrast between, Sweden and the States?
For us, it was such a wild experience because everything feels so different over there from compared to Europe. The places like are so huge, and you go like from one state to the other, and like the nature is completely changed. The people are completely different. But in general, that's what I like about being in like a touring band, is that you typically get surrounded by kind of nice people, right? Like in the music business or whatever. But I felt as well that people were really friendly over in the States. Like the normal mentality over there is way more extrovert and like social than compared to Europe. And like
sure.
people are actually nice to you if you order a coffee. That's what you're used to in Europe. We were just like on the way. I remember on the way back from the first run, we had a connecting flight in Brussels. And we landed there pretty tired in the morning, and we just ordered some coffee, and the staff there were like super rude to us, and we were like, oh, we're back in Europe.
I feel like you're going to enjoy Australia though, then, because we have generally a very sunny disposition. Everyone's pretty friendly and nice. America is definitely that. Like, I feel like they embrace outsiders.
I feel like America just they're on the internet a lot, if that makes sense. Like a lot of what you see from America, like for me personally, like having never been there and only knowing about the country through, like friends I've got there, friends who have traveled there, and, media like music and movies, and then social media, you really get this weird kind of mix of representation of what the country would be like. And so it's kind of hard to make your own mind up without going there and meeting people and talking to people and having those experiences, which is the best thing about traveling.
It also depends.
Yeah, I just love that sometimes you can, like, people would walk up to you and just start talking to you and being super friendly. You can just, I remember we were going back from, we played one of the festivals over there. We just watched a band playing, and we were heading back to our dressing room to pack up and leave the festival. And there's just like some random guy in one of the like restaurant tents or whatever at the festival, and he just shouted something at me, and we started talking. It's just, like, I love that kind of like the banter that they have over there, and just like striking up conversations with anyone. That's kind of nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, striking up a conversation is, I don't know, I feel as I get older, it's easier to do because I don't care as much of what people
Yeah.
think of me. But it is that's probably pretty accurate. But like, it's also,
Yeah.
it can be quite daunting as well because you don't know how you're going to be received. And if you're just trying to be nice, you're thinking, are they thinking that I've got ulterior motives, or are they thinking I'm a crazy person? I mean,
They are.
in my case,
Yeah.
they're like, sir, please put your pants back on.
Yeah.
You touched
No,
a
I can
second ago
relate.
on watching the bands on the tour. Who are you excited about sharing a stage with for good things? Like the full lineup. Are there bands there that you've never had a chance to watch before that you're excited to see?
Mm, I think out of the bands that are playing that I would be excited to see, I think I've already seen them.
Okay.
Um, you know, we have a lot of festivals over here, and we played a lot over the years, so we had a lot of chances to see a lot of big bands and a lot of great bands.
That's something that, yeah, I guess I kind of forget with the European tour circuit versus the Australia one. They're like, we've
Yeah.
got one every week for 6 months.
Yeah.
Whereas Australia, we're like, we've got one every 6 years. So, yeah. For us, we're like, Korn's coming back after 7 years. And you're like, I saw them twice last week.
Yes.
That was
Are
great.
is it 7 years since
Yeah,
they were
Yeah,
there?
I think the last time they
Wow.
came here would have been the first Download Festival, right? But
Yeah.
Actually, Corn was I think if one of the first bands that I was like buying a ticket to and went to a concert with my friends back in
Cool.
like 2008 or something.
Did you
So
have an Adidas tracksuit and dreadlocks?
no, I did not have the tracksuit. I did have like the ripped jeans and the band t-shirt look.
Oh,
Sure.
very good.
And a few years later, I actually did have dreadlocks.
No
Not many
way.
people know this because there's all the photo evidence has been erased
Deleted.
from history.
Need to get my hands on that
Yeah,
photo.
it was though it was a very short run. Was just about a couple of months, and then I couldn't stand it anymore.
Were they natural? Or did you like get them done?
No, I did them myself.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So
I feel like that's
natural.
the way a lot of people do, and then they go, "This is gross." I have
But
consequences.
also back in that time, like I don't know when was that, maybe 2010 or something. I guess that's the way you did it, especially over here. It wasn't like you could go to um, a salon and just get like, hey, I want some dreadlocks. It's like you have
Not
to
as
do
common
it
anymore.
DIY style.
Not too many Nordic dreadlocks going around.
I feel like if you walk into a salon or something and you ask for dreadlocks, it's kind of like the equivalent of when people go into like a tattoo studio and say, "Oh, I just want a full arm of like tribal tattoos or something like that." The tattooist is just like, "Oh, sure, sit down."
So, do you remember what your first show you ever went to was?
I mean, I wouldn't count like, when you're a kid and you watch maybe like a public concert or something, like a city festival. Maybe not that. The very first would be either it would actually be the Korn concert, or it might have been like one of the city fests we have over here. We watched some metal bands play there too. Like I remember being a big fan of Sonic Syndicate. I don't know if you know of that band.
I know the name.
And we watched them play there as well.
Korn's
So
a
yeah,
great.
let's go with Korn just for like
Yeah,
cool dude
pretty
points.
badass.
Yeah, Johnny has Metallica as his first, and that's still like the greatest first concert ever to me. I think that gives you like more credibility than you deserve. It makes you cooler.
It was also my first mosh pit as well. We were there with my dad and two of my friends from school, and they were like, this was at the days when security wasn't as strict, and they're like, let's just jump over the barrier and go into the mosh pit, because we were in the seats and it was at obviously stadium. And I was just like, can I do it, Dad? And he's just like, go for it, enjoy that. And I just remember jumping in and being 2 feet shorter than everyone and just covered in sweat and hair that was not mine.
That's me now.
It was one of those moments, I think, that could have either, when I look back on it, it's one of those moments in music where I feel like it could have either like been a make or break. Like I could have fallen in love with it or gone, oh no, this is too chaotic for me. Because it was a big show. It was a big stadium show, like lots of fire. And then there was lots of big, hairy, sweaty men everywhere. And I was just like, oh, this is great. I love this music. I love this. What I want to be. Shut up,
I love
Nathan.
big sweaty dudes.
I didn't say anything.
Fuck you both.
I actually had like a big regret because I had what could have been my first real concert. I was only maybe 13 or something, and Linkin Park was coming to play close to us, also like a stadium show. And I asked my dad, because I had a friend who was going with his dad, and asked if I could tag along, and my dad actually said no, because he thought I was a little bit too young for that, and like the crowd might be too rowdy. So I never got to see them, and I never had a chance ever again.
Oh,
So
that was disappointing. Yeah.
I've
Very
had a similar thing, kind of. Well, not the same, but I was at Soundwave Festival watching them, and they weren't playing any of the stuff that I liked for like the first 5 songs. So I'm like, you know what? I'm going to go and watch someone else. I'll catch them next time. And then they never came back. So I never saw them either, really.
At that same show, I stayed with Johnny's girlfriend, and she and I watched them by ourselves, and it was great. So not to rub it in both of your faces, but I feel, is that something though that you think about then going forwards to, like, for friends and family to impart that wisdom of being like, if you get the chance to do it, you should go and watch it because there might not be a next time?
Yeah, I mean, absolutely. You never know, especially when it's like international bands. If you really love a band, I think you should take the chance.
Yeah,
take the chance to see them.
We were just saying the Australian festival scene has taken a bit of a hit in the last like 2 years, and there's been a lot of cancellations. And thankfully, the heavy music space is actually in a really healthy space. But we were saying on one of our previous videos we filmed tonight, being like, people need to get in and buy tickets early. Don't wait till the last minute, because you need to support these festivals and take the chances, because you don't know when it's going to get pulled out from underneath you. And I think people are so used to having things at their fingertips. They go, I'll go next time. But exactly that, if you don't, the festival might get cancelled next year and you don't get to see it. So anyone watching this, buy a ticket.
Buy tickets. And especially because you get to see this handsome man in his element. You'd be up there with the violin. Oh
yeah. Oh, I'm so excited, dude. I know we've said it.
Nathan and I will be side stage hugging each other, going, oh.
Just crying, crying and moshing. It's going to be very awkward.
So what do you got planned up until Good Things, though? Do you get some downtime? You, like you've said a couple of times, you've had a very, very busy year. Are you giving yourself any rest at all?
No. We actually so our year has been like, we did the US tour in April to May. We had like, I think we had 1 week at home, 1.5, and then our festival summer started. We played now every weekend except for 3, I think. And in between those festivals, like, we were going home. We've been writing new music and just like keep on working and keep the train going. And that's what we're continuing to do now. We've been preparing for the European tour, which is going to start in October. So that will be 4 weeks on the road. So then November we're home, but again, we're in like a really good space right now, a creative space. So we just keep on working, and December we're coming to you guys. So
that's exciting. You are a man that doesn't seem to stop between like Imminence and then your own side projects. You don't seem to have much chill, so that doesn't surprise me in the slightest.
Yeah, you've always struck me as a very like relaxed, chill guy, but now I get it. He's just tired. It's just always tired.
God, I've got to stop doing this to myself.
Well, so what are you looking forward to most about Australia?
seeing you guys.
Yes,
Yeah,
I
we
knew
knew. You know the right answer. Well done. Well done.
Everyone watching
Yeah,
this is going to be, how much have they paid this guy?
Yeah, I think obviously it's so rewarding to go to a new place and to meet some fans and see the reactions. That was the big thing for us in the US, that we've been touring in Europe for 10 years, and that's been incredible, of course, but just going to a new continent and seeing people's reactions, and we have fans that have been with us for a long time, so it's really fulfilling to kind of both for them and for us to be able to come to a new place.
Have you managed to gauge much of a reaction or response from Australian fans that now know you're coming?
Not too much.
You don't really look out for that stuff? You kind of just keep doing your thing and get ready to...
I mean, sometimes you keep up a little bit, but I also try to not be too much consumed, with social media. So it's
Smart
good
move.
to give yourself some breaks.
Yeah, hell yeah. Well, dude, as I said, we're so pumped. You're a highlight for us for this year. It's a great way for us to end the year, seeing you and finally get to watch you guys play. We're as excited to watch you play as we are to hug you. So
very much so. Yeah.
It's going to be very exciting. And yeah, enjoy the next few months of touring and creative expression. Don't wear yourself out too much, because we expect big things when you get here.
Yeah, because I'm a lot of hard work.
Yeah, brace yourselves.
Yeah, dude, thanks as always. We always love having you on.
Yeah, thank you for having me, guys.
Cool.
So good to see you.
Can't
wait to see you in real life.
Right? It's going to be great, man. I can't wait, honestly. Say hi to all the lads for us, and we'll see you very soon.
Yes, will do.
Thank you.
Cheerio.